So this is the MacBook Pro 16. I've been using it for just over 3 months. I actually took this to CES 2020 and edited every single video on this without any issues. There's a few things that I really like about it, a few things I kind of don't, and I'm going to talk about whether or not my purchase was worth it. The first thing is the design. Like, this is a 4.5 pound laptop. I found it a good size to travel with, not too heavy, just the right weight. The one thing that I didn't like though about it was the port situation. I know this has been talked about a lot and some of you are probably sick of it, but 4 USB Type-C ports offers some benefits like faster transfer speeds, but it doesn't offer convenience. The one thing that I truly came to appreciate on my Lenovo X1 Extreme was having ports for everything. SD card slot, HDMI, multiple USB ports, 2 USB Type-C Thunderbolt 3 ports, the list goes on. This, I have to carry dongles, and when you have to carry dongles, you set this up on your hotel desk, you start connecting cables to those dongles which connect to your computer, and what you end up with is a ugly mess. You're essentially taking this beautiful product and strangling it with cables. Now on the upside, I do love this display. It's not 4K, I'm okay with that. It's about 2.5K, and what I love about it is the aspect ratio. A 16-inch display with a 16:10 aspect ratio is the perfect compromise between 3:2 and 16:9. It gives you more vertical space to work with, which makes you feel less claustrophobic when I'm editing video. Now the thing is, most Windows Ultra performance notebooks don't have 16:10 aspect ratios. They're mostly 16:9. And even though this is only an inch bigger, it truly feels like you're working with a lot more space. And I came to appreciate that when I was editing those videos. The next thing that I learned to love was the sidecar feature. Like, I carry an iPad on the plane. I use it to watch Netflix and do a few other productivity-based tasks. But being able to use it as a second screen in your hotel room is amazing. Now, in terms of performance, I'm not gonna go over too much because I've done a video comparing this to a similarly spec'd Lenovo X1 Extreme, and for Adobe Premiere, which is the editing suite that I use, the MacBook Pro outperforms it. It has really good optimization between Metal, the Radeon GPU inside of here, and Intel's QuickSync. Render times were always faster with the MacBook Pro. I'm not saying this is a faster laptop in general. If you're doing 3D work or virtual effects, those Windows laptops with NVIDIA GPUs will run circles around this, but for video editing, this is on par or if not faster than most Windows Ultra performance notebooks. The other thing I noticed is fan noise. There were a lot of complaints in other articles saying the fans were too loud. Yes, the fans do go on when it's under load, but it's not as loud as comparable Windows laptops. Most of these MacBook reviewers are from the Apple world, and they don't understand something. Windows laptops in general are louder. So even though these fans do kick on, they're still lower than comparable Windows laptops. Battery life is what really surprised me though, because this is a laptop that can run 6 to 8 hours doing general productivity. Plus on top of that, you don't need to be plugged into an outlet to get full performance. With a Windows laptop, if it has a dedicated GPU, it has to throttle the moment you unplug it from the wall. It has to do this in order to prevent the battery from overheating. Because the TDP on the Radeon GPU is lower than most NVIDIA GPUs, performance on this laptop is not hindered if you're unplugged from an outlet. That means I can go onto a plane, edit a video as if I was plugged into a wall without having to worry about it. And that's a feature that like all laptops should have. As for the keyboard, I'm not gonna go over this too much, but yes, they went back to the scissor switch keys, significantly better, much more comfortable to type on, less worrisome about it breaking down in the future. Touchpad, no complaints, like this is still the gold standard of touchpads. I'm happy they moved the Siri button a little bit over to the left, but I still find myself pressing it a lot. I'm not gonna bash the touch bar too much. I'm kind of impartial to it. I don't hate it, but I don't love it. It's just there. It doesn't get in the way of anything that I do. And finally, the audio. These speakers are awesome. There's times where I don't feel like putting my headphones on and I can just rely on the speakers to edit the audio in my video correctly. Obviously, I try to use headphones whenever I can, but if I don't have to, at least I can rely on them. As for the microphone inside of here, I have not used it to record any voiceovers for anything. It's a good microphone for a laptop, but it's definitely not studio quality. So here's the bottom line. The MacBook Pro 16 has been a great experience. And I know some of you are saying, for what I do, the fact that I'm using Adobe Premiere, you're gonna get a lot more value from a Windows laptop. And if you're looking at it from a spec standpoint, from a money standpoint, you're probably absolutely right. If I was to buy the Lenovo X1 Extreme today, I'd save $800 to $900. I can open it up, expand the RAM and hard drives, and more importantly, I'd have all the ports I need without having to carry dongles. But the MacBook Pro has a lot of little things that add up, making the experience a lot more enjoyable. The 16-inch display and 16:10 aspect ratio gives me more screen real estate to work with. The fact that I can use this without being plugged into the wall and still get the same performance is amazing. The speakers are exceptional. I didn't even touch on the software. The fact that I can look at ProRes files directly in the Finder without importing them into Adobe Premiere is just a convenient thing to have. AirDrop, the fact that I can just take my files and bring them to the MacBook Pro without having to connect it to a computer is also a nice thing to have. It's all these little things that add up that make this experience a lot more convenient. So anyways, that wraps up my 3-month review on the MacBook Pro 16. Let me know how your experience has been with your MacBook Pro in the comments below. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next video.